If you learn to stay small so no one could judge you, this is for the part of you that believed being small was safer than being seen. If you made yourself less visible so you would never have to risk failing, embarrassing yourself, or hoping for something you might not get, let these words meet you where you are. You do not have to keep living as a smaller version of yourself. You do not have to confuse hiding with safety. You are allowed to take up more space than fear wants to allow. I do not have to stay small to feel safe. It makes sense that shrinking felt safer when being seen felt risky. That strategy protected me once, and I can thank it without obeying it forever. I am allowed to be visible before I feel fully ready. I do not need to hide to avoid being judged. My fear of failing is not proof that I should stay hidden. I can let fear be present without letting it make decisions for me. I am allowed to be a beginner. I am allowed to be awkward while I learn. I am allowed to be seen trying. My worth is not threatened by imperfection. I do not need to be exceptional before I can participate. I do not have to wait until I am fully polished to begin. I can let myself want more without apologizing for the wanting. I am not too fragile for growth. I am not too late for change. I do not need to be the smallest person in the room to feel safe there. I can tolerate the vulnerability of being noticed. I can survive the awkwardness of not getting it perfect. One imperfect step does not erase my ability to continue. I can let my body learn that risk is not the same as danger. I can stretch without breaking. I can try without turning every attempt into a verdict. I can stop living like my life is a rehearsal for a future moment that may never come. I can let myself be fully present in the life I have now. I do not need permission to expand. I do not need a perfect plan to take a meaningful step. I can allow imperfect beginnings to count. I can let one small act of courage matter. I can be seen in progress and still be respected. I do not need to wait until I feel fearless. I can take up more room in my own life. I can let what I want matter more than my fear. I can risk being known and still remain myself. I do not have to protect everyone else from the sight of my becoming. I can let my ambitions be simple and real. I can let my future ask more of me than my fear does. I can tolerate the awkwardness of growth. I can trust that my life becomes bigger when I stop reducing it. I am allowed to fail at something and still remain deeply worthy. My failures can be information, not identity. I do not need to abandon my dreams just because I cannot control the outcome. I can let the possibility of failure exist without letting it shrink my life. I can be afraid and still move. I can be uncertain and still begin. I can be imperfect and still be powerful. I do not have to hide my gifts to protect myself from embarrassment. I can be honest about wanting more. I can let other people witness my becoming. I do not need to make myself small to make other people comfortable. My expansion may feel unfamiliar, but unfamiliar is not unsafe. I can let my voice get a little louder. I can let my desires get a little clearer. I can let my life take up more room. I do not need to stay hidden to stay loved. I do not need to stay hidden to stay acceptable. I am allowed to risk being seen and still remain myself. I can trust the woman who wants to grow beyond her fear. I can trust the woman who is tired of staying small. I can trust the woman who knows her life is bigger than her old survival strategy. I am not here to shrink into a shape that never challenges anyone. I am here to live. I am here to learn. I am here to risk. I am here to become. I do not have to wait for fear to leave before I start. I can begin while my hands are shaking. I can begin while my voice is still soft. I can begin while I am still learning how not to hide. I am allowed to outgrow the version of me that thought small meant safe. I am allowed to be larger than my fear. I am allowed to be visible. I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to let my life be seen.